My fiancée stood in front of me just an hour before the party, her eyes cold and her voice shaking only slightly as she said, "I'm canceling the wedding. I don't love you anymore." For a moment, the world felt strangely silent. I didn't shout. I didn't beg. I simply looked at her and realized that whatever we had left wasn't love, it was a performance. She waited for me to break down, but instead, I nodded slowly, which seemed to confuse her more than anything. Inside, the pain was sharp, but something else rose with it, clarity. I remembered the late-night messages she had, the sudden girls' trips, and the way her smile didn't reach her eyes anymore. I had suspected for weeks that she was cheating, but hearing her admit she no longer loved me made everything snap into place. She wasn't just ending our engagement, she was freeing herself to be with someone else. She thought her announcement would destroy me, but all it did was confirm what I already knew. I told her calmly, "All right, do what you need to do." She blinked at me, surprised, almost offended that I wasn't falling apart. She grabbed her purse, muttered something about needing to get ready for the party, and left without looking back. I watched her go, feeling strangely lighter than I should have. After she left, I sat down and thought about everything we had planned: our wedding, our future, the promises we once whispered. None of it was real anymore. But there was one thing I still wanted: the truth. If she had already thrown away our relationship, then I had the right to know the full story. I made a few calls, and in less than an hour, I learned everything I needed. The man she'd been sneaking around with wasn't just anyone, it was someone who would be at the party tonight. When I arrived at the party, I didn't go there to confront her. I went to watch, to see the real version of the woman I almost married. The moment I walked in, I saw her across the room, laughing too loudly, holding a drink she never liked before she started trying to impress him. She looked happy, but not with the kind of happiness that lasts, more like a temporary thrill. Her smile vanished the second she noticed me. She wasn't expecting me to show up after what she had said. I walked past her without stopping, greeting a few friends who already knew something was wrong. From the tension on her face, it was almost amusing how nervous she suddenly became. Not because she cared about me, but because she feared exposure. A few minutes later, her secret walked in. Everyone recognized him. He greeted her too familiarly, too comfortably. People around us started whispering, confused by how close they seemed. She kept glancing in my direction, terrified that I would make a scene or reveal her confession from earlier. But I stayed silent, letting her own behavior do the talking. Eventually, curiosity pulled her toward me. She walked over and whispered sharply, "Why are you here?" I smiled politely and said, "You said the wedding was canceled, not my social life." The look on her face told me she didn't expect me to play it this calmly. Losing control of the narrative scared her more than anything else. As the night went on, I talked to people, smiled, and kept my composure. Meanwhile, she spiraled. She tried too hard to keep her affair hidden, but her guilt made her clumsy. At one point, her lover reached for her waist, forgetting where they were. A few guests saw it. The whispers grew louder. I didn't have to expose anything, she did it to herself. Near the end of the night, her fiancé wannabe confronted her, annoyed by how paranoid she was behaving. Their whispered argument turned heated. She tried to pull him away from the crowd, but it was too late. The truth was already out. People looked at her with the kind of disappointment you can't hide from. She had destroyed everything we had, and now she was tearing apart the new thing she had chased. She finally approached me again, tears in her eyes, saying, "Can we talk?" I looked at her for a long moment and replied softly, "There's nothing left to talk about. You ended it before the party even started." I wasn't angry anymore, just done. I walked away, and for the first time in months, I felt free. Outside, the night air felt cool, almost refreshing. The weight that had been crushing me for so long lifted as I stepped off the porch. I realized that losing someone who never truly loved me wasn't a loss. It was a release. She had tried to break me, but all she did was show me who she really was. By the time I reached my car, I wasn't thinking about revenge or pain or the wedding that would never happen. I was thinking about the future without lies, without secrets, without her. And when I drove away from that party, I didn't look back. I didn't need to. She was part of my past now, and I was finally ready to move forward.